the American people stand firm in the faith which has inspired this nation from the beginning. We believe that all men have a right to equal justice under law and equal opportunity to share in the common good. We believe that all men have the right to freedom of thought and expression. We believe that all men are created equal because they are created in the image of God. From this faith, we will not be moved.
Hello and welcome to the Freedom of Thought podcast. I am your host, Paladino Joey, or Joey Awajan. Freedom of Thought is available on all of your favorite podcasting apps, and I thank each and every one of you once and always for downloading and listening to the show. It is a great pleasure to be back on board with you once again today. Happy first day of meteorological spring. As you know how there's obviously the official first day of spring this year, I believe is March 19th. That's astrological spring, like when out in space during the orbit of the sun. Yes, the earth is round. Yes, the sun is round. And yes, we are going around the sun. Yeah. Flat earthers, it's okay to have your opinion. Yes, but mine is, yes, I truly believe everything is round. Yes. Just like, well, I won't get into the top of my head or anything, but unfortunately, it's not really a celebratory thing in terms of like, it's celebratory in some ways and scary in others. But yes, first day of meteorological spring, March, April, May, so on and so forth. You can do the remaining seasons in the 3 months apiece thing. Yeah, you get the idea. The thing, like a certain former president once said. But the main topic of today's show should be obvious. Obviously, we are basically at war now with Iran. Our ally is Israel, of course. And several airstrikes have been already done on Iran, and there have been some retaliation into Israel. Obviously, yes, some civilians have been killed on both sides, which is really unfortunate. That's why we're not celebrating a whole lot, is that kind of thing. It is what it is. I mean, it is what it is. Ayatollah Khamenei is dead. Ayatollah Khamenei is dead, which you can't believe it. Like holy cow. Like when I saw that, I was like, stunned. Ayatollah Khamenei is dead, so a lot of people celebrating in Iran and in the United States, the Iranians celebrating the death of Ayatollah Khamenei. So this is a case of where you're waving your country's flag on our soil, on our streets, in celebratory fashion because of what something the United States did, the United States military anyway, and Air Force did, getting rid of an evil leader that has been there since, an evil leadership, basically, that has been there since 1979, of course, the revolution. What's also interesting, though, and was like, oh, wow, because I was like, well, what about Mahmoud Ahmadinejad? Remember him years ago when he was basically he became the president of Iran, obviously through a dishonest election and such. The supreme leaders were still in their position and all that, the Ayatollahs. But, and the mullahs or whatever of Iran, that crazy group, and he's basically a part of it anyway, one way or another. But he was in the presidential role. Mahmoud Ahmadinejad took over in late 2005, and then after about 8 years, then it was time for a new president, basically. So believe it or not, they still did it that way. But Ahmadinejad pretty much the entire time was threatening that, Israel should be wiped off the map and kind of the whole death to America thing. Obviously, the mullahs have constantly been saying that. So it's just kind of like sooner or later something had to give, that type of thing. The whole conversation about Iran is this amount of time, from developing, X amount of time from developing a nuclear weapon. I wouldn't doubt that they're there. I wouldn't doubt they've been there for an extended period of time, but obviously they fear incredible retaliation. So it's like they're going to do it when they feel like it, that type of thing. Or they've been delayed and sanctioned enough that they haven't been allowed to do so. But to the point, Mahmoud Ahmadinejad also was killed. So apparently he was also killed. Iran media is denying it, that he's actually not dead. People close to Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, so not sure what to make of that. But even Wikipedia is showing that Mahmoud Ahmadinejad died on February 28th, 2026. So Ayatollah Khamenei is dead, though. That one's for sure. And he's the Supreme Leader of Iran, former Supreme Leader of Iran. So that's going to be interesting. What's going to be the aftermath of this? Donald Trump, President, of course, of the United States, ordered these airstrikes with Israel. And of course, obviously, our government working together on this, and governments working together on this with Netanyahu and such. Everyone has their opinion. I think there's been way too much anti-Israel attitude out there, even among conservatives, which is really strange. The Owen Schroyers of the world, very anti-Israel. I don't understand it. I don't. I get it. You might be frustrated, like, why are we constantly, kissing up to Israel? Well, I mean, it's a complicated conversation. There's no doubt about it. But in the Bible, it does say, he who blesses Israel will be blessed. He who curses Israel will be cursed. And I don't know. I don't see Owen Schroyer doing all that great right now, necessarily. The way he just kind of walked out on Alex Jones, that wasn't the coolest thing ever. Now, I haven't really been listening to any of them lately, just partially with the job and such. And I don't know. Sometimes there's just too much back and forth with a lot of that. So it'll be interesting to hear what they have to say, I suppose. But from my point of view, the whole thing, it's, yes, Ayatollahs and all them are evil people. They need to go. There's no doubt about it. That regime needs to be destroyed. The real question is what's going to be the next step. That's the hardest part, because yes, the United States got rid of Saddam Hussein, and obviously we captured Saddam Hussein, and then he was executed in Iraq, hung in Iraq for all the terrible deeds that he committed, and obviously the sons were killed before that. And then the government there was just kind of weak, and then you basically created a supersized Iran. So the way George W. Bush handled Iraq was pretty lousy, to be quite honest, with troops on the ground and everything. I think the way Trump is handling this is much better, at least so far. And you always kind of figured troops on the ground in Iran? Woo. No. I mean, you know how many soldiers are going to die if you do that. So it was always meant to be airstrikes, and to be able to take out the actual leader, the Supreme Leader of Iran, is like a borderline miracle through airstrikes without having to do all the stuff that the United States military had to do, like the Marines and such had to do in Iraq, where, 170,000 soldiers in Iraq, 4,400 plus died there. It's sad, including a former football player who literally made the ultimate sacrifice. And conversation is that he was actually killed by friendly fire, which is unacceptable. Because maybe he knew too much of what was going on over there, that this is kind of creepy stuff. The whole Iraq invasion, there's a lot of weird, creepy conversation there. That might wind up on Mysterious Adventures, some of that, where it looked like they were looking to find Gilgamesh's body, who also may be Nimrod. That is just weird. Like, what is that all about? So, and all this Nephilim conversation, that of course goes to Mysterious Adventures podcast, but it's really weird stuff. But it's also kind of a government secret thing, which can be on Freedom of Thought. This is more of a government secret-ish, and, just general conversation, news, commentary, you could say. Commentary, not breaking news. I'm not here at breaking news, but I suppose I could. If news was happening right in front of me, then maybe I would. But overall, yes, it's obviously far from over, but really interesting to think that both of those men are dead. Ayatollah Khamenei and Mahmoud Ahmadinejad. Again, Mahmoud Ahmadinejad is there. There is a conflicting report saying that no, he's not dead, but who knows? Maybe he's almost dead, or who knows what the heck, or he is dead. Who knows? But if they're both gone, that's probably, I think the world's a better place without Ayatollah Khamenei and Mahmoud Ahmadinejad and several other military leaders in Iran. They're pretty much wiped out. The Navy is pretty much wiped out. The naval forces, better stated, in Iran, wiped out. So it's generally a good thing. It's just the good thing. Well, the other major thing as well here is that this time you're not going to create a supersized Iran by taking out Saddam Hussein and Saddam Hussein and his, as they call it, the Republican Guard, whatever they call it over there, because well, this time you took out Iran too. And so the hope is this isn't some kind of New World Order movement. I'm not sure on that one. I don't think so. Where the Iraq one sure appeared to be. It sure appered to be that they really wanted to get them tied up to the central banks, the banking system and such. So hopefully this is not a New World Order type operation, which is pretty much what Iraq was. There was no reason to go into Iraq. It should have been Iran from the get-go. Even my dad stated many times that Saddam Hussein was actually keeping Iran in check during all of that, especially in the 80s, but even after that, especially in the 80s, though, keeping Iran in check rather than letting them run rampant, which pretty much they've been doing since the toppling of the Saddam Hussein regime and ultimately his death, his hanging a year after he was captured in 2004 into 2005. So very interesting, again, to be able to just, boom, get him like that, to get the leader. Again, it feels like a borderline miracle to me. Very impressive preemptive strike on Iran. Very impressive, to say the least. Obviously, the forces, the Air Force definitely knows what the heck they're doing for the most part. Again, you're not going to be perfect. Civilian deaths, unfortunately, it's an extremely unfortunate side of war, and you just wish it couldn't happen. You wish it would be 100% perfect and there'd be zero civilian deaths, but it just kind of is what it is. And of course, again, Israel, well, I mean, they, unfortunately, it is what it is. They're right there in striking distance, literally, not trying to be into sports terms here, literally within striking distance of Iran. And in this situation, they're under fire. And it's unfortunately going to happen. What was a talk of like an Iranian school in one case, and it looked like something like a large apartment or a hotel or something in Israel that may have been hit. So that's where you may see some civilians killed in this operation, if it's not a flat-out war. It looks more like a flat-out war because it is the toppling of a regime in Iran without troops on the ground. And hopefully this will continue to be without troops on the ground. What was Trump's statement? President Trump, anyway. I had it up, and obviously the phone went dark here. This is, of course, a mobile episode today. Mobile episode, because we're not going to do it in the studio. We're just not. That's not a real studio, but you get the idea. Here it comes. President Donald J. Trump says, Iran just stated that they are going to hit very hard today. And yeah, they did, but harder than they ever have hit before. Trump wrote on Truth Social, they better not do that, however, because if they do, we will hit them with a force that has never been seen before. So very interesting. I remember when Trump once said something very similar to the North Korean leader years ago. And North Korea, everything kind of quieted down after that. And we don't really hear about North Korea a whole lot anymore, where it looked like they were able to kind of negotiate and calm things down a bit. And that was a very impressive feat by Donald Trump. Of course, the lefties, especially around here, but anywhere, all it was, Trump's just there for a photo op. He's just there for a photo op. You don't see North Korea launching shots across the bow and close to Japan anymore, do you? Well, he was doing that quite a bit before that. You're not hearing about North Korea basically just firing shots we almost hit you. Next time we might. Mm-hmm. More, we're here and we're ready to do something naughty. Basically was what North Korea kept doing. And then Bush basically was like, I don't know what he's doing. I don't know what he's doing. And I like when Michael Savage responded with, he sounded like Bugs Bunny, because Bugs Bunny always had a New York accent. Mel Blanc is a New Yorker, of course. Mel Blanc, the voice actor. It sounded funny as heck. It was funny, but at the same time, it's like, Bush was just weak as hell, and yet he was a New World Order agent, basically, just like his father, who was a much worse New World Order agent. Bush was kind of one of the timid good guys, so to speak, compared to what his father was. And, the George Soros is, holy cow, George Soros is one of the imperial forces, you could say. He's one of the imperial leaders of the New World Order. That's a fact. That's a fact. And when people talk about George Soros, donating to the Democrats and yeah, he's such a great guy. Yeah, great. Yep. And look at the Democrats today, and look at the way they behave, and look at the way, look at the direction the world has gone, basically. So, especially on that side of the equation, not a very pretty sight at all. Basically, Obama kept empowering Iran and other nations that support Iran during his entire 8 years in office, including giving them billions of dollars, billions and billions, as Donald Trump would say, of dollars. In this case, well, Ayatollah Khamenei is dead, as they might say in Wizard of Oz, ding dong, the wicked witch is dead, that kind of thing. So it is kind of like that, and yes, they are celebrating in at least Los Angeles, other areas as well, Iranians that fled the country after that, what do they call that? After that revolution, the Islamo-fascist revolution, basically, is what took place with the Ayatollah Khamenei taking over and pushing the Shah out of power. Where now, hopefully, someday in the not superly distant future, the Crown Prince Shah of Iran can return to his position. Wouldn't that be nice? As Iran used to be a wonderful ally to the United States back in the 70s and earlier. Wouldn't it be nice if that were to take place again? Hopefully that day can come. And we might actually have some peace in the Middle East. It's never going to be 100% because of the terror groups that are out there. And of course, Israel and Palestine, that's kind of been going on for way too long. They don't know what they're doing. This is what a certain president of the United States said last summer. Early in the summer, we talked about that last year. But, all these apocalyptic wars and rumors of wars are very much happening. Revelation, parts of it, the early parts of Revelation are around. We're obviously not in the middle of Revelation. Obviously not. There has not been a rapture yet. We have not seen a wormwood or anything crazy like that happen yet. That's still coming. Check out the wormwood episode of Free Mysterious Adventures if you could. I recorded that sometime last summer, if I remember correctly, and about the crazy date where wormwood could potentially happen. Because, something's potentially heading this way. Yeah, check it out. Mysterious Adventures is still out there. Oh, yeah. So with that said, do I support the operation? It's like, yes, of course. But at the same time, is it something that's something that's a little on the scary side? Yeah. Yeah, of course it is. There's, Iran has a lot of powerful, evil allies and such. But it kind of is what it is. Ayatollah Khamenei, very evil. And of course, again, that regime needs to go, regardless. That regime needs to go. They've done nothing good. In fact, several other Arabic nations there, including have actually supported the U.S. in this movement. So that's kind of exciting in a lot of ways. So that's a good sign. It's a good sign. The aftermath of this is going to be very fascinating, to say the least. Do I celebrate the death of... do I celebrate a lot of people dying? No. But the death of an evil leader? Yeah, of course. An evil leader needs to go. So, how many evil leaders were killed during biblical times? Many, 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 many. Like King Og and such. He was a giant. Yeah, and that's another Mysterious Adventures episode. But yeah, King Og, who was like 12 feet tall. Yes, there were 12-foot tall giants because they were Nephilim and Rephaim. Yeah, they were evil. Very, very evil. They were not of God at all. They weren't going to heaven. They weren't going to heaven. They weren't meant to even exist, because man wasn't supposed to be 12 feet tall. There was a little bit of extra DNA nonsense going on, wasn't there? So obviously Genesis 6 can be some information there, but a little hint as to what took place. And of course, after that, as it does say, also after that in the Bible. So glad that Ayatollah Khamenei is gone. But again, now, just continue to pray for the United States military, the President of the United States, and the Israeli government and such as well, Israeli soldiers, but also the surrounding nations, that this can be, taken care of without too much loss, and that there will be a resolution to this. It won't be just a war that goes on forever with troops on the ground and thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions plus of deaths. You just pray that this won't take place, that this can have a fairly quick resolution without too much death. That's what I would urge anybody to pray for it at this date. So here we are, meteorological spring, and crazy news happening, folks. So hope you have yourself a wonderful start to meteorological spring, and that, again, we have a peaceful resolution to all of this taking place in Iran and Israel and the surrounding nations, because there's a lot of people getting involved in this one. I hope this doesn't lead to any type of crazy World War III type of situation, but there's always been a fear of that, but well, obviously it hasn't developed into that yet. There was always a fear of that happening with the whole Russia and Ukraine, and that didn't happen yet either. So who knows? It's like this world is almost crying for a war. Obviously China, as evil as they are, is there a more evil country on the planet than China? I don't think so. Especially their leader and such. And the history going back to at least Mao Zedong, and possibly before him. It's obviously as evil as it gets, and the crooked way a lot of people there operate as well. But we're going to get off of that. We're not here to talk about China right now. We just hope this doesn't develop into something involving China. But that's a nervous chuckle, of course. I'm not laughing at anything. But with that said, just want to wish all of you a wonderful week or so. I apologize this show has not been on as often as I would like to have it on. Now I've been working 6 days a week lately. It's not been easy. Those of you that have donated, especially Gerald out of South Dakota, God bless you 1,000,000 times over. Love you to death. Thank you so much. Mark Carlson as well. You guys are the greatest, literally the greatest, and I appreciate you so much. There is a link in the show description to Give, Send, Go, and I hope that everything works out for you there. I think Gerald might have had an issue with it, so I gotta look into it, see what's going on. But wishing all of you a wonderful week or so until the next episode. I'm going to try to keep up with this as best possible, and hope all of you have a wonderful few days here. The weather's should improve, at least in these neck of the woods, the upper Midwest, in Golden Valley, Minnesota here, but close to Minneapolis, of course, Twin Cities. It's a Twin Cities suburb. But yes, up here in the upper Midwest. Gerald's in South Dakota now. Mark is in Iowa. I know there's obviously a number of you from other parts of the country, and just wishing you all a wonderful rest of the weekend and a wonderful week coming up, and keep praying for this country and for all these many soldiers over there in the Middle East. So soldiers up there that may be in danger at embassies and such. So wishing all of you a great week. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.